Hi, and welcome to Timberdoodle's 2026 6th grade curriculum kit. I'm Pearl, I'm here with my sister Grace, and we're here to walk you through each item that we've chosen for this curriculum.
Perfect. So let's take a look first at the Literature and Language Arts program. And for this year, we have the Mosdos Pearl, which is an anthology of different stories, poems, nonfiction pieces, plays, and songs, and more. It's rooted in honesty, courage, and compassion, and includes the student workbook for reinforcing the vocabulary that they're learning. What I love about this is before it really goes into the story, it'll have a little summary. So it'll talk about the gold coin is a fable. A fable is a short story that teaches a lesson. The gold coin is longer than the ordinary fable, and the writer describes all the characters very sympathetically. This means that we care about all the characters, including Juan. Most fables do not encourage, and it continues on. I love that it's giving the students a little overview and something to be looking for before they go and actually read that selection. And then it also gives them like an about the plot and draws their eye to the fact that this story has conflict in it, which is something that not all stories do. And this story is driven by the conflict between the main character and someone else. So again, teaching them these literary themes, these literary skills, but in a really fun way, because then it's got all these different story selections that they get to read to understand what they are. So I love that part. The student workbook is going to help them just retain all the vocabulary and the little vocabulary workshops that are in each selection to, again, expand and help them understand what they're reading. But a really well done program.
Yes, and we have a detailed schedule in your curriculum handbook so that you know exactly what to do each week if you choose to follow it. And of course, you can always customize it to do your own schedule as well. For creative writing this year, we have Wordsmith Apprentice. It's set in a newspaper office, so it automatically gives students an idea of why they would want to be writing. It's not just a meaningless activity. Comics, humor, super clear instructions throughout really make this course understandable for your student, and again, super clear schedule so that everything is manageable. Even in looking at the schedule, you'll see that the authors have designed it in a way to be compassionate to students of all capabilities. You don't want it to feel overwhelming for the struggling student, but you also want to give your thriving student the work that will help them to continue to thrive. So wonderful resource, really designed for homeschooling students, really designed for to be student-centered and not just try to force everybody to fit into a mold.
Okay, next we have Spelling UC, and this is level G. So if you've not been doing Spelling UC with your student all along, you might want to hop on and do a placement test just because it's all going to vary. This is a story-based spelling program, so it's going to have a lot of short daily lessons working around nonfiction passages, and this one is particularly focused on prefixes and suffixes. We love that it doesn't include spelling lists and tests. It is learning through doing and visual memory. And so as they are finding different portions of the word and as they are writing different passages throughout the week, so they'll write it for several days while looking for certain words, and then they will write it from dictation after they've had the practice of writing the passage several times. That is building that real memory and not just something you remembered for the week and then it's gone. So I love that about it. Love that the pressure's off. You don't have to be stressing the memory. It's just working through the pages, working through the short lessons while doing a nonfiction helpful passage. So it's interesting, it's history, and it's not just a waste of time. So we love all those parts about it.
Next up, we have Typing Instructor Gold. Now, you may be saying to yourself, wait a minute, why is a typing program in language arts? And there's a couple of reasons for that. Primarily, at this age, your student is beginning to do more and more writing. And that can be really daunting for students who struggle with handwriting for any number of reasons. Learning to type is going to open up the world for him with those writing assignments. So that's why we have it in language arts. It's also a super important life skill, something that your student will, if he masters the proper hand letter placement and everything now for touch typing, he is going to find that it's a life skill that takes him really far. And this course, I love how this course works because you can take it down to the bare bones and just do plain lessons. You can add in a lot of games, and there's extras like dictation activities and things like that. So it's a course that you can make work for your student.
And you can set your own goals too of how many words per minute, how much accuracy, so that it's all building up to what your end goal is.
Exactly. And different students are going to learn best different ways. You might have a student who really just needs to focus on the lessons, and you might have a student who is really motivated by the games. Whichever way works for you, this is a fantastic course to set your student up for success, both with a life skill and with having writing assignments become less bothersome.
Okay, let's take a look at math. So math this year is Math UC Zeta, which is going to be mastering decimals. So again, if you've not been doing Math UC all along, we recommend hopping on and doing a placement test. Love the way Math UC handles all these concepts. It's mastery based, so students are really going to have a firm understanding of each concept as they move on. It's also taught with short video lessons by Steve Demme, so there's not a whole lot of teacher prep on your part. You don't need to have a big teacher's manual that you've got to pre-figure out the lesson and how are you going to explain this. No, you sit down with your student, you watch the video by Steve Demme, and they get to see, oh, that's how he's working it out on the board, you know, in big size, and then they get to go back and work on their own worksheets. It comes with the manipulatives so that way they can really be understanding all these concepts. And the pages are very clean, very just visually pleasing. It's not a lot of overwhelming. Busy pages can really be hard for kids. It can feel overwhelming. It can feel distracting, and they just do a wonderful job of keeping it very friendly, very step by step. Also love the way they have it set up for students. If a student needs extra support, it's got the extra worksheets right there for them. And if a student it's really clicking for them, then they can do the fast track of usually about 3 worksheets a week. So again, very doable pace and very student and teacher friendly.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Goodness. We could take 10 of these dimes or 10 tenths and we could swap them for what? $1 or a 1 unit. I'm just going to slide these off because they're too hard to pick up. And where does this guy live? Got to take him over here. So now we have 3 in the tenths place, and we carried 1, and now we have.
Let's take a look at thinking skills. So first up, we have critical and creative thinking activities. We have looked at so many different thinking skills books.
So many.
And we have loved a lot of them. This one really stands out to me for a couple of reasons. It works on a variety of skills. It's really important for your student to learn critical thinking skills, but to have that integrated alongside creative thinking skills is very unique and very helpful.
Difficult to find.
Very difficult to find. And it makes it more fun for the student, but it also makes it working on just a broader variety of problem solving, pattern recognition, and creativity that's really, really important for your student to master for life. So this book uniquely brings in the kind of thinking skills where there is only one right answer, as well as the kind of thinking skills where there are many answers and your student can defend why he chose the answers he chose. Let me just give you an example from the inventions unit. So in that unit, you will have some numbers of how many inventions Thomas Edison came up with through what years, and your student will be asked to average how many inventions he did per year. Well, that's a thinking skill where there's only going to be one right answer. There will also be questions like, what are the 5 greatest inventions of all time, and why did you choose each invention for your list? That's going to have a variety of different answers, or be deductive puzzles. Here's some inventions, here's some clues, you figure out which invention was created in which year. So there's that unique combination of deductive thinking, critical thinking, creative thinking. This is a very unique combination, and that's why we love the critical and creative series. Next up, we have the Fallacy Detective. So Timberdoodle has been selecting products for over 40 years now, and so we have the pleasure of bringing in really great new products, and we're going to talk about a newer one next. This one's been around, Fallacy Detective, though, has been around for over 2 decades now, and it is one that our family enjoyed years and years ago. I am sure your family is going to love it too.
It remains a favorite.
It does, and what your student will be doing is learning about some really important common fallacies and practicing seeing them in examples, identifying them. Your student can do it on his own, and it has sort of a workbook style for after each chapter, some areas he can fill in the blank. However, our favorite way to do it was to do it as a family and have some competition as who could identify the fallacy or who could identify it the fastest. It's because it's got so much humor embedded into it. It's really wonderful for family discussion, for family competition, and the skills are so practical. These are very common fallacies, both to accidentally use yourself and to see others around you using. This book is going to help your student learn to identify which arguments are actually make sense and which ones really need to be rethought.
Now, we should say there are a few controversial topics that it does discuss. If you are reading this as a family, you might want to read ahead. They need to be discussed, and the way that they're handled is very graciously, but they're a little heavier. And so if you're doing it as a family read aloud, you might want to just check and make sure that your whole family is ready for that. Next, we have our games. So Grizzly Gears is a wonderful thinking skill game. It's a logic puzzle with 80 challenges. So it's going to involve so much forward thinking and so much executive functioning and strategy that we absolutely love the skill that it's going to be teaching. Not to mention, anytime you get some cute bears and a forest on a board game, I'm in. So this is really great because if you get the wrong animal as you spin it in front of the bear, it's locked in place. And so you got to start over. So it's really going to build that concentration. It starts easy, works up to really difficult, and all the way along, they're seeing this cause and effect and trying to get the animals across. So really love the skills it teaches and love how cute it is. Next, we have our family game. So for this one, we have Floats McGoats, which is going to be a strategy meets chance board game where you're trying to rescue your shipwrecked goats. Now, with a family game, our goal is two things. One, because you've got more than one player, you do have to work more on your flexible thinking, on adapting your plan and your strategy to your surroundings, which is very real life. So we love that. And it also has the social emotional side, which is so important to still be pausing the day to spend time together and learn to interact and learn to win and lose graciously. So family games are a phenomenal way to teach so many skills. This one's fun because it's got so much decision making and strategy involved in it. We're going to show you a quick video that shows how it's played, just so you can kind of get an idea of how the game plays and why we enjoy it so much.
Hey you! Help us! Our seafaring goat crew was navigating treacherous waters when our boat capsized. The ship broke apart, leaving wood strewn throughout the waves. All the mamas and baby goats are holding on for dear life, and it's up to you to build a raft from the wood and float your goats. To get started, place the 2 permanent anchor sticks in the centre of the board. Create a pile of raft sticks next to the shark. Each player takes their colour goats. The goal of the game is to take turns building a raft out of sticks, securing your goats in triangles so that you earn points. The game continues until one player has 5 points worth of goats within triangles at the same time on a raft. In a 2-player game, you need 6 points to win. In this captivating game of strategy, it's every wee goat for themselves.
Okay, and the last game is another logic puzzle game. This is Prime Suspect Campground. Now, Prime Suspect is like a new favorite in our family because we are just so excited to be adding it this year. So you have 9 suspects and a number of clues, and they do progress in difficulty. So it's really great. You can start out easier, but you're trying to identify who the prime suspect is. Now, we love a couple things about this game. One, just the deductive reasoning that is necessary. Like, this is a really good way of kind of forcing that skill and learning that skill, reading the clues and figuring out who is it, because it has to be next to someone with gray hair, or it has to be next under somebody wearing glasses, or whatever it is. You've got all that you're figuring out. The other reason that we absolutely love this is because it does something unusual if you want it to, and that is auditory skills, the auditory processing skills. If you've got a student that you've noticed struggles with hearing and repeating, or hearing and understanding, this is a phenomenal way to painlessly teach auditory processing, because you can hold the card yourself rather than giving it to them to read. You take that card and you read to them the clues, and they've got to remember and they've got to listen and understand as you read slowly, clue after clue, and they rearrange their 9 suspects, and then they go, oh, can you read me that first one again? I can't remember where this one's supposed to be. It's just a phenomenal brain skill. Even if you don't have a student who struggles with auditory memory, that memory that it's going to be requiring of, you have to remember that green goes on blue while you're processing the newest clue, it's worth doing that way anyway, just for that phenomenal skill. And campground, who doesn't love that?
Yes, and if you want, you can purchase multiple sets and
That makes that a lot more fun.
That competition that's tough competition, and that's a lot of fun. We've been really enjoying that sort of play in our family.
And we found it doesn't really matter if you can see your opponent's work, because they might be struggling just as much as you.
Next up, let's take a look at social studies. So in our classic or our faith-based kits, we have Uncle Sam and You by Knotgrass. We love Knotgrass curriculum. The text is so conversational and includes so many pictures and photographs and
Always
illustrations.
beautiful.
It is. It's easy to get really drawn in just because it's so well done. Then, in addition to the text, you also have the source documents with the Citizen's Handbook. You have the student workbook where your student can do some crosswords or puzzles or other things to reinforce what he's learning. All in all, it's a wonderful civics curriculum for your 6th grader this year. He will learn so much about American government and about America. Now, I will also mention that if you want to take it even further, they have suggestions for literature books you can add. This is a curriculum that really flexes to work with how you want it to work. It has activity suggestions, all sorts of things. But the most important thing about it is just how well the books are created so that your student will be learning in an enjoyable way.
Yeah. And then for our non-religious kits, we have Discover Social Studies. So this is a full year ancient world social studies, history, geography, civics, and economics all in one. What we really like about Discover is the way it presents things in a, again, student-friendly way, and lots of pictures. There's just something about opening or flipping through a book and seeing a whole lot of pictures that makes me go, okay, the kids are going to want to do this. Like, this draws you in. You can start understanding history because you're seeing it. And then it has very short, blessedly short writing assignments that it's going to have them do as they're reading. So they'll read a short selection, write a brief synopsis of something that it's asking them about. It'll have a short quiz, maybe an activity, lots of hands-on, so circle this in the map, do this fun activity to decode this because you've just learned about some sort of coding. Just different things that they're going to do to help them remember what they've learned, but all very, very age-appropriate, very short in its duration. So I really appreciate the way they do that.
And I think having the work text format, so where your text and your activity book are combined all in one, is a unique way for students to immediately feel the progress that they're making throughout the book. So
yeah,
great way for students to learn about ancient history and engage with it. We also love to include graphic novels as an important part of our curriculum kits. These help students to step into the world of history and really place themselves in situations that they have never been in before.
Because they can see it.
They can see it. And so this Stealing Home is a graphic novel that helps your student understand some of the Japanese internment in World War II. So this is actually following a young boy in Canada, and it really helps your student personalize what was going on during this really terrible time in history. It sparks real conversations, wonderful thing for you and your student to read together if you'd like to. And because it is a graphic novel format, it makes it very accessible, even though it's covering very difficult topics. Similarly, we also include the Search and A Family Secret graphic novels. So these two graphic novels are introducing some aspects of the Holocaust. And what I really appreciate about these graphic novels is, even though it's pulling in the pictures, even though it's pulling in an awful, awful time period, it's doing so in a way that is sensitive to young readers. So it's not overly gory or overly graphic, but it also doesn't pretend that everything was okay either.
It doesn't glamorize it.
It doesn't glamorize it, but it's very thoughtful of the age that your student is. And so it's working through the Holocaust through two perspectives, through the perspective of a Jewish family and a Dutch family, and who knew each other during that time. So walking through that history and seeing how it impacts future generations up to the present. Let's also take a look at geography. So Skills Sharpeners Geography is a wonderful series, and this is in grade 6, it's the last year of it, where your student will be learning key terms, key vocabulary, and also seeing it applied to places around the world. So short nonfiction passages, easy activities, super colorful, super student-friendly, very important terms and ideas that your student will be learning this year with Skill Sharpeners Geography.
And then new this year is the National Parks in the U.S. puzzle. So I love national parks. I think this is such a fun theme to be adding, where students are not only reinforcing their U.S. geography, which is something that very easily and very quickly can fade if you're not repeating it, just because most people are not driving through the U.S. on a regular basis. And so it's easy to get zoned into what's local and forget, now what exactly borders that state over there where I don't go very often. So this is reinforcing that, but also with the great fun of getting to see where all the national parks are. It has state-shaped pieces. So again, you are really reinforcing that geography, and it's a great brain break and a great way to work on that memorization.
And I like that even the added detail of the border of the puzzle reiterates the names of the national parks. Super helpful because there are a lot of national parks. It's easy to forget what all is there, thought through, and again, like Grace was saying, a wonderful way to reinforce the geography with the state-shaped pieces.
Okay, let's take a look at science. So I love Real Science for Kids because in a science program, I'm looking for a couple things. I want something that is going to go in depth. I want my student to walk away really understanding these concepts, not to have had a light, fluffy science course. But I also want something that is actually going to get done. And what we have found is that if the science course is too hands-on, or if it's too in-depth, it's going to get put on the shelf and never done. And it's going to have not only that, but this weight of guilt also around it to say, I never got that done. We didn't do science this year. Real Science for Kids takes that all away because it is open and go. It is beautifully illustrated, very readable lessons. And if your student, if their reading skills aren't there because it is an in-depth text, it can be read to them. But it also includes optional labs. So if you want to do student workbook pages, if you want to do labs, all that is included on the digital text, on the digital tool shop, and you can go out there, download everything you need. It also has the digital textbook out there, and what I love about that is it's page by page read to your students. So rather than an audiobook where they're going to lose the illustrations, which really help the student understand, like they're comics, they are illustrations, they're very explanational. And so if you just put on an audiobook, you would lose that. But this is going to have them still looking at those illustrations as they listen. So they're really going to still walk away with that great learning, but it takes you out of the hot seat for having to read to them. So love the freedom it gives you as a parent or the student, the independence that maybe they want, but they're not quite ready to read it themselves. This will get them there. And meanwhile, it is a really solid, all 5 disciplines science course. So they're going to walk away with the knowledge. And again, if you want to do labs, that info's there, but you don't have the pressure of having to do it. It's as much as you want it to be. So absolutely love this for science. Next, we have Dr. Bonyfide Book 4, and this is a really fun workbook that's going to be focusing on the head, the bones of the head. So a really great way for students to be learning about health, if that's required in your state. But it's so much fun because it's full of riddles and puzzles and just a lot of really great activities as they learn about the bones in their head.
Next up is the 4D torso puzzle. So that 4th D is for detail because this model is detailed, it's sturdy, it is incredible quality. Your student is going to really get a multi-dimensional understanding of the main organs and where they actually go in the torso. Because it's such good quality, your student can unassemble and reassemble it multiple times. Again, really beginning to remember and grasp that basic anatomy knowledge, and it's a wonderful shelf display as well. Super, super high quality and very basic practical knowledge that will be wonderful for your student to get now at this age.
Absolutely. And you would be surprised how many people don't know where their liver is or don't know where their kidneys are, which even if your student isn't going to go into the medical field, it's important to understand how your body is put together so that way when someone is having severe pain, they can help assess the severity and the emergency behind that to know, okay, well, what could be in that area and what are we concerned about? So it's a really fun way to learn.
Next up, we have 100 Things to Know About the Human Body. Now, this book has wild, wow-worthy facts about the human body, very age-appropriate for your 6th grader, but honestly, the kind of book that any age is going to...
I love this book.
Yes, they're just going to get drawn into it because the facts are, sometimes they're a little quirky, unexpected, sometimes they're very helpful for basic health knowledge. Wonderful book for your student to be working on this year, again, building up his basic understanding of health.
Like, did you realize that when you exercise, your cardiac output of the amount of blood going to your brain decreases from 14% to 3%? Like, it's just fascinating, the little facts that are in there that most of us had no idea. And then we have Dr. Livingston's Anatomy Puzzle of the Human Head. So again, just a really great hands-on way for students to memorize and understand how the body fits together, the different components, and to be able to see with a full color reference guide the labels for every part. This is medical grade in its illustration. It's phenomenal quality, and it is a brain break, but at the same time it is really helping them understand the different layers, the different components, and to be able to actually build that visual memory.
Next, let's take a look at STEM. So first up, we have Turing Tumble, which is a marble-powered mechanical computer, which is kind of mind-blowing. But what your student will be doing is working through 60 logic puzzles, and he will be putting together the different pieces like switches, gears, to solve the puzzle that the book lays out for him. He also will have the advantage of the comic book style storybook to give him an idea of why he's trying to build what he's trying to build. So if you want your student to understand a little better of how the logic behind computers actually works, and if you want him to really work on his skill of problem solving in a hands-on, screen-free way, this is going to be a fantastic resource for him. This is one of those kits that parents buy for the 6th grader, and they find the parent actually using it as well because it's so captivating and works so well on progressively difficult challenges.
And then next we have Tech Essentials from CompuScholar. So I love the way CompuScholar does their courses. It's a 1-semester digital skills course for middle schoolers that's going to teach everything from file management, online research, digital citizenship, internet safety, and intro to coding. What I love is the auto-graded quizzes, everything already being there, so you get into your program, you've got what you need, or it'll have a free download for you, but you don't have to go out and buy other programs to be able to learn these skills. And it'll have a short video lesson, and then it'll have a section that they work through, real world tech skills that they will actually learn and be able to use. And this is just such a great skill to have in our day and age where technology is changing so fast. To be able to get a great overview and a solid foundation in technology and knowing how to use it responsibly gives them those skills that they need for what's coming next.
Now let's take a look at art. There are a lot of different aspects to art, different skills, and we're going to talk more about that soon. But first off, we have Doodle Your Day, and that is dealing with the very important practice of creativity. Building that creative skill day after day. Because it's a daily prompt book for all 365 days of the year, your student can pick and choose favorite activities, or he can work through the whole thing and have this lovely keepsake. What is important is that he's building that habit of creativity. This is a very important part, not just of art, but of all of life. And this is a super manageable, achievable way for your student to be working that in.
It's like a tiny workout for your creative muscle.
We also include OKTO Little World Bat. So this is a fun, quirky kit for your student to work on sculpting with air dry clay. So it includes instruction, it includes tools, it includes clay. And again, it's something where your student may not, before using the kit, your student may not feel that confidence of, I can sculpt. This kit will help him to see, I actually can do this. It's actually something I can manage, and I can add the detail, I can do the shaping, and I can create something in 3 dimensions. That's a very exciting thing for a 6th grader to learn.
And then next we have Painting to Go National Parks. So another one of my favorites because you get the national parks, but it is for guided painting lessons. So I love that this does not assume that your student already has any sort of painting skills. This is something they can jump in with absolutely nothing already there. It's going to have a full video tutorial and beautiful professional grade acrylics on canvas that they're going to end up with Smoky Mountain Sunset, Aurora Sky, Twilight Moonrise, just absolutely stunning national park paintings that they can do.
And I think it's a very unique thing and a very exciting thing for students to go from blank canvas to finished painting. That's a little bit different from a lot of other art kits. And it's something that will make your student feel like, I really can actually paint now. I am a painter. It's a very cool thing for students to walk away with that from this art kit.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna take a leap of faith, and I'm gonna press my brush down, and then I'm just gonna pull straight down, all the way down, right into my black. Oh my goodness, I know that's nerve-wracking. It's gonna be worth it though, I promise. The little apostrophe right along the top, and then right along that edge that's facing the sun. And if your paint is wet like mine, it might be blending a little bit, so you might end up with something that's more of a little light green than a true white, and that's totally fine. I'm letting this kind of be a broken line that's a little bit streaky, because I think those dots kind of almost make me think of, you know, the needles on a cactus.
Next, we have photography for teens, and lest you be concerned by teens, this is perfectly appropriate for 10 and up. What we love is it puts photography skills in the hands of kids while they're still young. So most kids aren't really going to understand how to get great composition or how to get good lighting and all that at this age. But this is going to give them those skills so that they can recognize it and so that they can create those wonderful pictures. I love giving this life skill to kids at this age because they have a unique perspective, and now you are giving them the tools to document it, and it's something that you are going to enjoy seeing their skills all through their life, whether it's now or when they're adults and they want to send you pictures of the grandkids. It's something that is a lifelong skill. Even if it's not a career that they want to go into, it is certainly a wonderful skill to have. And we also appreciate that while a DSLR camera is something that they can use with this, you can also use it simply with a smartphone. It covers topics for both options so that students can use it whatever tools they have. Next, we have Test Prep Grade 6. And if your state requires a yearly test, this is a phenomenal prep for that. Even if your state does not require it, we love to do it just so we can get an idea of how the student has done with retaining what they've learned this year. And so you can see if there's anything of, okay, it looks like that method didn't really stick for you, or wow, you did really great. We're going to keep going with that type of learning because that worked for you. So we just love that you can get a really great overview of all their skills through this test practice. It's also phenomenal for kids who testing is scary. And so if you've got a kiddo who, like mine, says, wait, what if I fail the test? Not to worry, this is going to help them build that confidence and show them, okay, here's how you take a test, here's some practical skills, and then just to be able to give them the overview of, okay, well, before you take that test, let's run through that one more time.
Yes, and different sources will teach the exact same concept using different terminology, or they will teach the same skill but with slightly different steps. This is a great way for you to see if there's anything like that for your child now before he's facing a real test. This is a perfect opportunity because you still have the chance to discuss it together and help him understand where the different terminology is, or
just the funny wording. Like they can word it really confusing, and so the student thinks they're picking the right thing and they're picking the wrong thing, but by doing this practice test together, you can talk that through.
Yes. We also include the Eco Pencils. This is a wonderful resource for a variety of reasons. We love that they're triangular. We love that they are grippy. We love that they are high quality.
Yes.
And it's super practical for a lot of the things your student will be doing this year, but especially for activities that require certain colors like the spelling you see. So super resource, perfect pencils for your 6th grader to be using this year. And like all of our curriculum kits, 6th grade includes the handbook and the online scheduler. So the handbook is going to give you a short overview of each item, how we anticipate you using it. It will also include some resources in the back, like the schedule for Mosdos or a quick intro to the reading challenge. Then everything is available through the online scheduler, and that is a wonderful resource for you to make the schedule work for your family. So whether you want to do a weekly checklist, which is something we really think gives you a lot of flexibility, or whether you want to do a daily checklist because you love that structure and that clarity.
Or maybe your student needs more structure, and
Exactly.
so they want to see it daily, but you want to see it weekly. You can do both.
And we love that you can customize it to work exactly how you want. You can incorporate other habits that you think are important for your student to be completing every week. You can put in music practice or whatever it is that you want to make sure that your student is not forgetting to do.
Yeah.
The online scheduler will give you that accountability and the flexibility to make it work for you. We also do have online access to the reading challenge. And the reading challenge is simply a way to get your student reading more books and reading a broader variety of books. We all know that reading is important, but if you don't have some sort of structure to that, some sort of goal or challenge, it can be easy to let that go in the craziness of life. So the reading challenge, again, gives you a very flexible structure for having your student read more. It's not a list of required books, it's a challenge to help your student broaden his horizons and read more this year.
All right, I think that covers everything. As always, hop online for placement tests, or if you have any questions as you go to, if you want to customize the curriculum kit and change it at all, we are always happy to help. If you've got a question about how it could fit specifically for your student, feel free to email, feel free to call or chat, and we're happy to help. Thank you so much for joining us.